Philadelphia, city of brotherly love, birthplace of a nation. It's a city steeped in history, but beneath the cobblestone streets and the Liberty Bell's shadow lies a darker past. Eastern State Penitentiary. Even the name sends chills down your spine. It's a place where the silence screams and shadows move on their own. This isn't just another abandoned prison. This is a place where history and horror collide. Get ready, because we're about to step inside the belly of the beast. Built in 1829, Eastern State Penitentiary wasn't just another prison. It was a bold statement, a symbol of a new era in the philosophy of incarceration. This imposing structure was designed to embody the principles of the Pennsylvania system, a radical departure from the brutal punishment methods of the past. The focus here was not on physical suffering, but on psychological isolation. This was the birthplace of the Pennsylvania system, a revolutionary approach to incarceration. The idea was simple yet profound. Isolation would lead to penitence and ultimately rehabilitation. Forget the whips and chains. This was about solitary reflection. Every inmate lived in solitary confinement, cut off from the world and from each other. Their only companions were their thoughts, and perhaps the occasional ghostly whisper in the dark. The design of the cells was revolutionary for its time. Each cell was equipped with a bed, a desk, and a small window to let in light, but the isolation was absolute. The architecture itself was meant to enforce the solitude. Imagine a wagon wheel, with each spoke leading to a cell block. This radial design allowed for maximum surveillance with minimal staff, a practical yet eerie setup. Each cell was a mini-prison within a prison, a world unto itself. The isolation was meant to inspire deep personal reflection and ideally a sense of penitence. The goal was to inspire penitence, hence the name Penitentiary. But did it achieve this lofty aim? The reality was far more complex and often darker than the ideal. Let's just say, some things are worse than a little physical pain. The mental toll of such extreme isolation was profound, leading many to question whether this system was humane or effective. The echoes of those solitary cells still resonate today, reminding us of the fine line between punishment and cruelty. Over the years, Eastern State held some of America's most notorious criminals. This prison, with its imposing Gothic architecture and fortress-like walls, was designed to instill fear and enforce strict discipline. It was a place where the most hardened criminals were sent to pay for their crimes, and its reputation was as dark as the shadows that crept through its corridors. Al Capone, Scarface himself, did time here. Capone, the infamous gangster who ruled Chicago's underworld during the Prohibition era, found himself behind these very bars. Despite his wealth and power, he couldn't escape the reach of the law. His cell, though more comfortable than most, was still a prison cell, a stark reminder that no one was above the law. Legend has it he was haunted by the ghost of a rival gangster he'd rubbed out. The eerie silence of the prison at night, combined with the weight of his own guilt, played tricks on his mind. Some say he would wake up in a cold sweat, hearing the whispers of the past echoing through the stone walls. Then there's Willie Sutton, the bank robber. Known for his clever disguises and daring heists, Sutton was a master of his craft. But even he couldn't outsmart the relentless grip of Eastern State. His time here was marked by a constant battle with the oppressive silence and the ever-present feeling of being watched. They say he could hear whispers coming from the walls, driving him to the brink. The isolation and the unending quiet were enough to unnerve even the most composed individuals. For Sutton, the whispers were a reminder of the lives he had disrupted and the choices that had led him to this point. These guys were tough, but Eastern State could break even the hardest criminals. The prison's design, with its radial layout and solitary cells, was intended to encourage reflection and penitence. But for many, it only deepened their despair and sense of isolation. The silence, the isolation, it got to them. It got to everyone. The relentless solitude, the lack of human contact, and the oppressive atmosphere wore down even the most resilient spirits. Eastern State Penitentiary was not just a place of punishment, it was a place where the human spirit was tested to its limits. The Pennsylvania system, as revolutionary as it was, had a fatal flaw: human nature. Keeping people isolated for years on end, it was cruel and, some argued, inhumane. By the mid-20th century, the system was abandoned. Eastern State, once a symbol of progressive penology, became a relic of a bygone era. The prison closed its doors in 1971, but the stories, the whispers, they remained. The weight of silence. Today, Eastern State Penitentiary stands as a haunting reminder of a different time. Walking through the cell blocks, you can almost hear the echoes of the past, the clanging of cell doors, the muffled sobs of prisoners. The air is thick with a palpable sense of dread, a weight that sits heavy on your chest. It's the kind of place where you feel like you're being watched, even when you're alone. Whispers from Cell Block 12. Cell Block 12. Even the toughest guards avoided this place. It's said to be the most haunted area in the entire prison. Visitors have reported feeling cold spots, hearing disembodied voices, and even seeing full-bodied apparitions. Some say it's the spirits of the prisoners, driven mad by their isolation, still trapped within these walls. Whatever the reason, Cell Block 12 is a chilling reminder that some places hold on to their pasts with an iron grip. The ghostly face in Cell Block 4. Cell Block 4 holds another chilling tale. This part of the prison has long been a focal point for eerie stories and unexplained phenomena. Visitors and staff alike have reported feeling an unsettling presence as they walk through its dimly lit corridors. This is where they say a ghostly face appears in a cell window. The apparition is often described as a pale, sorrowful visage that seems to materialize out of nowhere, especially during the twilight hours. No one knows who this spectral inmate might be, but their mournful eyes seem to follow you as you walk by. Some speculate it could be the spirit of a former prisoner who met a tragic end within these walls, forever trapped in a state of unrest. Is it a trick of the light? The way the shadows play through the old rusted bars can create illusions that deceive the eye. Yet those who have seen the face insist it is far too detailed to be a mere shadow. A figment of our imagination, or something more sinister? The mind can play tricks, especially in a place as steeped in history and sorrow as Eastern State Penitentiary. But the consistency of the reports suggests there might be more to this story. One thing's for sure, you won't find many people willing to spend the night in Cell Block 4 to find out. The fear of encountering the ghostly face keeps most at bay, leaving the mystery unsolved and the legend to grow with each passing year. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, the tale of the ghostly face in Cell Block 4 is one that continues to captivate and terrify. A legacy of terror. But Eastern State's haunting legacy extends beyond the cell blocks. The prison hospital, where countless inmates breathe their last, is said to be a hotbed of paranormal activity. And then there's the warden's office, where the warden himself took his own life. Some say his tormented spirit still roams the halls, unable to find peace. Where history meets haunting. Today, Eastern State Penitentiary isn't just a haunted house. It's a museum, a monument to a flawed system and the human beings it impacted. Walking through the cell blocks, you can't help but feel the weight of the past, the suffering, the despair, the sheer hopelessness. It's a sobering experience, a reminder that history is more than just dates and names. It's about real people and the legacies we leave behind. Dare to explore Eastern State Penitentiary, a place where history and horror collide, where the line between this world and the next blurs. Are you brave enough to step inside its crumbling walls, to feel the chill of its ghostly presence? If you dare to explore the unknown, then Eastern State Penitentiary awaits. Just be careful not to disturb the spirits that call this place home. This is Caleb Mitchell, and you've been watching Terrifying Territories. Please subscribe for more stories.